Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. We're going to go through this. Hopefully, the weather is safe for everybody. If you're joining us here from the Western New York area, I know there's some challenges going on right now out there, so hopefully everyone's staying safe. I'm Brian. I'm the CTO here at PCA Technology Group, and we're going to be talking about cybersecurity. So let's get right to it. We're going to be going over why cybersecurity, some of the common attacks that are out there, a little bit of coverage on USB, mobile, and IoT devices. We're going to talk a little bit about shadow IT. If you're not familiar with what that is, we'll talk about that. And then obviously passwords and MFA will be bringing up the caboose area there. So why cybersecurity? A couple reasons. First and foremost, obviously, you're worried more about your employees. Your employee safety is the biggest thing. And then, organization, client data, and overall, everyone's well-being really is the ultimate goal. So that's really the theory behind cybersecurity. AI is also being leveraged for both good and bad. We'll talk a little bit about that. So, AI is automating a lot of the detection, a lot of the scraping of logs to determine events or potential incidences, but the bad guys are also leveraging it to make their attacks more real looking, where the AI is actually crafting the attacks for them. So we'll talk about that. Sometimes there's insurance requirements too. So if any company does have cyber insurance, long gone are the days where you can just say that you're doing this stuff. A few years back, you could just fill in a couple of check boxes and say, "Yep, I'm doing it, doing it, doing it, doing it." Well, now they want proof, and it's far more extensive to go through that questionnaire than it used to be. And the reason is because those insurance companies are there to make money, and with all the claims that are happening because of cyber events, obviously if you're claiming you're doing something and there isn't proof to validate that claim, you are not going to get paid. So just be aware of that. And then finally, compliance. So you notice that is at the end of all this. While more likely than not, if you're following these first three suggestions, more likely than not, you're getting very, very close to compliance anyways. But you never want to just do cybersecurity to check a box saying you're compliant, because you're going about it the wrong way at that point. You should be doing layers up to that and to make sure that you're following those first three, and then more likely than not, there might be a few things you might have to do differently, but more likely than not, you would be compliant based on whatever that compliance need is, if you're following those other procedures. So we're going to look at who's responsible for cybersecurity. So a lot of times folks think that cybersecurity is really an IT issue, or if you have someone that's in charge of security, whether it's a CISO or something like that, that they're ultimately responsible for cybersecurity. While to an extent that's some of it, they aren't the ones that are fully responsible for cybersecurity. Actually, the top of the org chart is. So whether that's a CEO or whether that's a board, if your company has a board, those individuals or entities are actually the ones that are accountable for it. And then everybody else underneath that is just, basically the worker bees that are kind of filling in, that are doing it at the ground level. But ultimately, the buck stops at the top. So they need to be living and breathing, cybersecurity through example. And by doing that, then everybody that's underneath them, whether it's management or workers and things of that nature, the rest of the staff will fall in line because the leadership is leading by example. There's instances where sometimes there's policies in place, but higher execs may not follow those policies. That's not the way to approach it. You definitely need to have a common goal throughout the company, and again, that starts at the top. Management, layers underneath that top of the org chart, really it should be ensuring that the direct reports know about what is and isn't compliant. They're actively participating in the development and improvement of any of these security policies, because they're living and breathing it. They should be part of that creation and modification. You might have existing policies that you constantly find people trying to get around roadblocks that are in place. That's a big sign that you might need to be reevaluating what those policies are, and if they're too strict, maybe you need to alleviate those. Or if they're just doing it maliciously, then you need to take a further stance, and that might be an HR issue, not a security issue at that point. And then everybody else, again, outside of management layers, should know best practices. They should also know what some of the threats and tactics are. We'll talk about what that is here. That's what this presentation is really about. And then, also that gut feel. Go with your gut feel. If something seems odd or questionable, make sure you're telling somebody or contacting somebody before interacting with it. It's definitely more likely than not your intuition is going to alert you to things that look kind of suspicious. Go with that intuition because you're probably correct, and just that hesitation is enough to save you from falling for some of these common pitfalls that we're going to talk about here. So how bad is it? Well, the interesting thing about this, and this came from the Verizon 2024 data breach investigation report. You can see on the left-hand side here that it's really it's kind of changed a little bit. So most of the attacks now aren't really exploiting vulnerabilities. It's still in the top three there, but most of it is actually through phishing campaigns, and even at the top there, it's with stolen credentials. So obviously they are trying to just get end users to give up their credentials. And by doing that, they have the keys of the kingdom where they don't have to go through, trying to find a vulnerability and then try to figure out, can they exploit that vulnerability, getting past the protections and stuff that are in place. It's so much easier for them to just steal credentials from folks. And a lot of these attacks that we're going to be talking about here really is a situation where we'll show you how they're doing it, or at least I'll tell you how they're doing it. And then on the right side here, these are the amount of breaches that basically occur with a human element involved. So you can see they're going not only after credentials, but how are they getting those credentials? They're getting them from the end users themselves. So again, you got to be vigilant. You got to question things. And again, I will show you how some of these tactics, they're using to try to trick people into just inadvertently giving away information that they don't realize they're doing. So that's it's 68%, I believe it is there. And it's extremely high. Ransomware and extortion falls in a second place there. But that just goes to show you they are really, really, really targeting the human element. They're not attacking the technology anymore. They're going after the humans. So what does that look like? Well, basically that is what's called social engineering. It's basically manipulating human tendencies to trust individuals. So if I'm a bad actor and I want to try to get you to give me information, I can do multiple things to try to entice you into giving that, or pretend I'm somebody that I'm not. And there's multiple ways to do that, and we'll talk a little bit about some of those tactics here coming up. So the common attack methods, email obviously is a big guy. I would say probably 90% of the social engineering attacks do originate from email. So if you're hypervigilant with your email, you may avoid some of those tactics. And I'll show you examples. But phishing, spear phishing, business email compromise, once they get your account compromised, they can leverage contacts, existing information to try to bait other people, and it just keeps snowballing on and on and on and on and on. Trends or ransomware, it could be extortion too. So ransomware is when the bad actors get physical access into your network, your machine, your servers, and they encrypt all of your data to the point where it's not usable. And then they basically say, okay, I've got your data encrypted. You can't use it. If you want it back, you're going to have to pay me X amount of some sort of crypto coin. And we'll give you the keys. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. The other part is also there's extortion. So they steal your data or offload your data or pieces of your data. It could be contact lists, client lists, could be, I don't know, whatever, proprietary information, and they threaten to post it or sell it on the dark web. Sometimes they do both. Sometimes they steal the data, they encrypt your data, and they threaten to post it, and you also need access to it, so they get you twice basically with that method. And as we mentioned, AI is definitely being leveraged to perform some of these attacks. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to that section. Social media can be leveraged for reconnaissance. You can get a lot of information from scouring people's social media accounts, especially their personal accounts. They post everything about themselves, where they eat, where they go, their vacation spots while they're on vacation, and things like that. My personal advice is, if especially with the vacation stuff, if you're away, and especially if you're out of the country or something of that nature, don't be posting that on social media. If someone is watching you or targeting you specifically, they know you're not home and they could break into your house potentially, and while you're out of the country and not even realize it until you get back. And then it's just, it's not fun. So post about that when you get back and you're physically, back from that vacation, then, you avoid those type of things. Who's behind it? Criminal groups, hacktivists. Sometimes it's nation states, which are countries that are not U.S. friendly. They are basically they employ people just like you and me, where their job is to go and try to hack U.S. companies, break in and breach U.S. companies. That is their physical job. And that's it's one of those things where you just got to be aware of that. And the other thing too is while it's not prevalent, it is possible that it could be an insider threat too. The bad guys again are trying to entice people that actually work in these companies to let them in the front door. They entice them with monetary rewards. Hey, if we get the data and they pay the ransom, we'll give you X amount of whatever, money, things of that nature. Obviously, you are committing a felony. These people are out of country, and when you get caught, you're going to jail, and they're not. So it's one of those things where you just have to be aware of it. And then the attack vectors, a lot of times it's cloud or the internet. Mobile, occasionally it could be mobile. It could be physically on site too. The other thing to be wary about is public Wi-Fi's connecting to that. Those could be set up by bad actors and leveraged to perform attacks at public places without you realizing it. So it's also something to be aware of there. So let's talk a little bit about web browsing. And this is basically from your work machine. Now, this could apply from personal standpoint too, but just this is really catered towards business use. So the first one there is, while you're at work or on work resources, make sure that your web surfing is kept to business use only. By doing that, you leverage the potential of not falling for something that may be a malicious website or something like that, that you might stumble upon while you're personal surfing, versus business surfing. So, if you do that and keep it limited to business use only, then it will hopefully limit that potential exposure, to what you could possibly fall on an unknown site that might be a malicious one. Social media, if you don't leverage that for business purposes, I would stay away from it while you're on business resources again, because there's a lot of malicious content that could be on those social medias sites, and that's all of them across the board, not any particular ones. Even LinkedIn, there's malicious stuff on there too that you have to be wary of at times. So again, unless you leverage that for maybe marketing purposes or something like that, I would suggest keeping those site visits to social media when you're off business machines, resources, networks, things of that nature. The other thing too is keep your browsers updated. So many times exploits, if they are targeting like a technical exploit, they will leverage outdated browsers that might have a known issue that hasn't been patched yet by the end users. Now we'll also get back to this because this is also a trick that the bad guys are leveraging to try to make you think that there's a browser update, and I'll show you the differences of how to do that. But normally the browser will update you, will tell you, and I'll show you where that is when we get to that point. Pop-up windows, sometimes they are leveraged with something called a pop under. So basically a window, a screen will pop up. And more likely than not, if you want to close that window, you'll hit, there's usually a little X at the corner or a close button or something like that down at the bottom. Sometimes if it's a malicious version, sometimes bad actors will put what's called a pop under, where when you click one of those two areas, it is closing the window out, but there's also something underneath that window that you can't see that is also being activated when you click on those areas that could potentially download something or redirect you to a site that you don't want to go to and things like that. So again, if you follow the business use only, it will eliminate potentially falling for some of those unknown sites that may be malicious. But if you do find yourself in a situation like that, most of the browsers nowadays do have built-in pop-up blockers in them, which help a lot with this. However, if you do find yourself in a situation where there's a pop-up that you're not real sure whether you want to click on it or not, you can hit Control W on your keyboard. This works on Apple and Windows devices or Linux if you happen to be using that too. It will allow you to close the window down with focus. If that doesn't shut that browser window down, that pop-up window down, you can hit Alt F4 as well, and that will actually close the entire browser down. So from a phone standpoint, if you're surfing on your mobile phone, there is no easy way for me to tell you how to do it because almost a lot of the platforms have different methods. I don't do a lot of browsing on my phone, so I don't run into this, but you could end the task or something based on whatever model of phone you have, but it is different depending on versions and things like that. So there is no clear-cut method like there is for an actual physical machine. So with that said, one of the attacks that the bad guys are leveraging, it's actually doing a couple of things. So it's playing on the fact that one, people don't like to have multiple logins for multiple sites and remember multiple passwords. So it's leveraging that weakness in humans that they don't want to do that. And what this attack is it's called a browser in the browser attack, and basically it's leveraging something called SSO or single sign-on. And an example of the photo here on this slide is that let's say I'm visiting a site. In this case, it's Canva, and instead of creating a separate login for Canva, I'm going to be lazy. And this happens to be one of the sites that does leverage a federated single sign-on, and I'll explain what that is here shortly. But on that screen there, you can see that it's one of those things that right here that is the federated single sign-on. So what I'm able to do while I'm trying to visit Canva on this screen, I'm able to leverage in this case, it's allowing me to possibly leverage my Apple login, my Google login, or my Facebook login. So I can actually leverage an existing login that I already have because this is a federated single sign-on site that it will let me use my Google account. In this case, that's what the example's for, to log in to Canva. So I'll log in there with my existing Google credentials, and it will actually leverage that as a login method for Canva. In most cases, this is something that is legit. So you will see these. There could be other ones that are listed here too, whether it's Discord, Steam, things of those natures. Those are other accounts that it could possibly be leveraged. The problem is that the bad guys are setting up fake versions of these that actually steal the credentials as you type them in there. And the problem is visually, it's extremely difficult to tell, and it's very easy to fall for. And I'll show you here on the next screen. Excuse me. So on this screen here, you can see in the upper left-hand corner here, in the immediate corner, you'll see the phishing version, which is labeled as such, and then the real version. This is leveraging Facebook. So visually looking, these screens, besides the fact that it has phishing and real, just for visual purposes, these screens look exactly alike. There's no difference visually between those. For the tech savvy, you'll even go up and maybe you'll check the padlock. You can see there's a padlock on the fake one. There's a padlock on the real one. If you actually click on that padlock, the certificate will say facebook.com. It is the real certificate. And even the URL, if you would happen to look at that entire URL, it's the exact same URL as the real one. So visually looking at this, there would be absolutely no way you can tell the difference between the phishing one and the real one. What will happen if you stumble upon a malicious version of these? You'll put your username, which is in this case you're leveraging your Facebook. You'll put your Facebook password in there. You'll hit login. Whatever you're trying to log into, it will actually work. But the problem is this is also sending that information that you typed in there to the bad guy. So now you have effectively given the bad guy your username and login for Facebook. And any other site you might be leveraging on SSO for this account, they can also get into. That's the problem with the SSO if you're leveraging that single login for multiple sites. Here's another example. This is just doing Google. So again, phishing site, real site, they're almost identical. Now, this one does have just a slight difference in it. This one has a create an account, but to untrained eye, unless you're looking at them side by side, that really wouldn't raise any red flags. And even if you hover over it, it would be a Google URL. So it wouldn't raise any red flags to me. Again, the padlock will match Google. That will match Google on the real one. The URL is exactly the same as the real one. Again, visually, you cannot tell the difference between the fake one and the real one. And just like the Facebook, you put your Google credentials in here. Now you've just given the bad guy your Google credentials. So again, anywhere you're leveraging that account, if it gets breached, you could potentially get breached at all the sites that you're using. Now, visually, you can't tell the difference. There is a way to tell, potentially tell if it's fake or if it's real. If you happen to go on stumble upon a site and you're not sure whether this, and you do want to leverage single sign-on, I personally don't recommend that. I would set up on the last one here, I would set up a different way and set up an actual account on each and every single site. That way, if that site happens to get breached, you're only losing access to that site, not to every other site. I personally would set up individual accounts for every single site you want to log into. If you do want to leverage SSO, or maybe you already do, to tell the difference between a real one and a fake one, it's potentially, what you can do is when that window pops up, so these screens will pop up inside of your existing browser window. So whatever site you're trying to access, this will actually pop up in the center of that screen with the site in the background. This will be in an individual window. What I want you to do is right click on that top bar here and try to literally drag it off the screen outside of that browser window. If it is a fake version, it will not break the borders. It would actually stop at the border and not let you drag it off the screen. Where if it's the real one will actually let you drag it and it will break outside of your browser screen and open up as a separate window on your desktop. The reason why the fake one doesn't work is because this really isn't a pop-up window. It's just designed to look like a pop-up window with the code that the bad guys leverage. That's why all the certificates and everything match, because they're actually just painting the real site as a window. But the window has malicious code in it that sends anything you type in there to the bad guy, but it also works. So that's why this is really, the fake version really isn't a pop-up window. It actually looks like a pop-up window when it isn't. So it's just something to be aware of that, in this case, you could just drag it off the screen. If it doesn't break the borders, it could, and more than likely probably is a fake version, because the real ones will break out that outside that border of the browser. The other thing too to mention is if you are leveraging auto or password vault, and we'll talk about that when we get to the password section. A lot of times they are set up to auto complete. So it will actually recognize whether if it won't autocomplete on this screen either. So if you are using a password vault that autocompletes and you stumble upon a phishing one and you notice that it doesn't automatically fill in, and when you visit that site, it doesn't automatically fill in, then you can just go and do, you can go and not type your information in there. So the basic idea is it should autocomplete in the email and the phone section on the fake one, but it may not. It wouldn't do that on the fake one. On the real one, the real one would autocomplete. The fake one won't. And we'll talk more about that when we get to password vaults. The other thing too, this is, and I mentioned this. This is something else that clear fake attacks. So this is leveraging that. Hey, you need to update your browser thing. So the way the bad guys actually do this is one of those things where they you go to a website and the website page itself says, oh, it looks like your browser needs updated. That will never be the case. So it's one of those situations where you should check your browser. First of all, a web page isn't going to tell you that you need browser updates. The browser itself would tell you that. And if you go on the right-hand side, on the Firefox side here, there's three lines at the top here. I think hopefully you can see those. That I just highlighted those with the laser pointer. Those three lines would be, there's probably an arrow that either points up or down, saying that would indicate that you have an update ready on the Firefox one. There's also three dots in the center screen there of the Google Chrome browser. That one is where that would show up. Again, it would be an up or down. And then on the Edge one, it would do the same thing. It would show you there's some kind of update on there. It wouldn't be the actual page itself. It would be the fact that those areas in the corners would show you the updates. So that's just something to be aware of. But they do try to get you to download something when you visit a page. If you do that, the problem is it's probably got exploits in it. And then they kind of are in your machine. So it's just something to be aware of. That leads us into email tips. So email tips, don't mix business with personal. Again, don't use your business email for personal interactions. Don't use it for shopping. Don't use it for Christmas, list, Black Friday deals, coupon codes, your book clubs, whatever memberships you have. Keep that in your personal email. Because a lot of the bad actors, they send fake shipping notices, fake purchases, eBay, Amazon, UPS shipping notices, USPS shipping notices, FedEx shipping notices, and they're enticing you to click on them. And if you are doing those type of transactions from a personal side with your business email, you could fall very easily victim to those type of attacks. If you're not doing that, you don't even have to open them, because I don't do any shopping in my business email. Goodbye, delete it. Don't even have to open it and check it. So that's just something to be aware of. The other thing too is you should never click on links that are embedded into emails. That's another trick. It looks like you're going to go to a site, but it may be redirecting you to a site that really isn't what it looks like it is. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But if you don't click on links that are in emails, unless it's something that you're just expecting, and I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second. But that will save your bacon a lot in this rep world that the bad guys are trying to leverage. You also want to be cautious and aware if something doesn't look or feel right. Again, it goes back to that gut feel. Report it before you interact with it. If something doesn't just seem right, definitely interact before you interact with it. Definitely involve somebody else or report it. Either to IT staff, or if you're a customer of ours, you can call our support desk and we can quickly look at it without you interacting with it. So this is an example of a phishing email. And again, here's exactly what I'm talking about with these links here. So this looks like it's coming from Microsoft. It's listed as Microsoft. It's got a Microsoft email address. The idea is that I'm trying to entice you to click on to change your password, because I'm saying your password is expired, and I want you to change your password. Well, first of all, if your password expired, you probably wouldn't be logged into email in the first place, because your password wouldn't work if this was truly real. So that's the obvious thing you should be thinking about here. If my password is expired, how am I logged into Outlook, and I'm getting an email that my Outlook password is expired, but yet I'm in Outlook with the password that's supposedly expired. That's the obvious thing. But regardless of that, if you don't think to that level, again, if you don't click on the first link, I'm gonna give you a second link to try to click on too. What do these links do? They send you to a site that looks just like Microsoft site, and I'm enticing you to type your information in there. What's going to happen? There's two things that potentially could happen depending on the actor. Originally, what it would do is it would ask you for credentials, which is your username, your email address, and then your password, and it would keep asking, because no matter what you typed in there, it wouldn't work. The reason why is because it's not the real Microsoft site. So obviously, every time you type something in there, it's sending what you type in there to the bad guys. And if you were like, oh, well, maybe it's this password, or maybe it's that password, or maybe it's this password, or maybe it's that password. Well, now you're giving them every single one of the passwords that you think it might be. They're getting that information, and they might try it at another site. So you're giving them a list of passwords that could be real. more intelligent bad actors, what they'll do, they'll allow you to do that one time. And then they'll redirect you. They'll send that, they'll take that request. They'll actually, it won't work the first time, but then they'll redirect you to the right Microsoft site the second time. That way, when you put that information back in there, you're going to think you just mistyped your information the first time, even though you did give it to the bad guy. So there's definitely ways that the bad guys, again, will try to entice you. If you follow my recommendation, if you get this in the mail and in your email, and you happen to not put two and two together, like, well, my password's expired, but I'm still logged in. If you don't put that together, don't click on these links. Go to Microsoft's site yourself by you opening up a browser, typing it in manually yourself, and then trying to log in. That way, one, you know you're on the real Microsoft site. And if this is real, the minute you try to log in, it will tell you that your password is expired and ask you to change it. So that's just an example. This is just a visual thing. It shows you, again, the bad guy sends a phishing email. They open it, click a link, visit a fake site. They put their creds in there. It goes to the bad guy. Now the bad guy can actually log into the site. So it's just a visual representation of how this whole thing works. Spear phishing. So this is a little different. So spear phishing is more targeted. This tends to go after payroll or HR, perhaps. And a lot of times it's someone pretending to be an internal employee, asking the payroll person or HR person to change their direct deposit information. This is pretty common. And if you don't have policies and procedures in place that verify this request, you should never, ever just blindly take an email when it comes to any type of financial transaction as a valid request. You should be okay, if you're getting this email, you should be calling the person that this is claiming to be via a known phone number. Don't reply back to the email. You need to call them in a known phone number that should be on record for every single employee. Call them and say, hey, did you just ask me to change your direct deposit information? Because I got an email here asking me to do that. Is this real or is this not real? Again, it has to be at a known recorded number, not some number that they're sending to you. Oh, hey, I got a new phone number. Call me at this if you want to, because the bad actors will do that. And then they'll pretend to be this person and say, oh, yeah, it's me, So you need to make sure that you're verifying this either physically, if the person happens to be in the office. I know there's a lot of remote workers now, but or via voice at a known recorded phone number that's already on record. That'll avoid any potential problems. If you blindly follow this, what you're going to find out is on payday, this employee is actually going to be coming knocking on your door wondering why they didn't get paid because you changed their direct deposit information to an account that was set up by a bad actor. And you just basically sent their paycheck to somebody that wasn't them. So now you're going to have to try to figure out how to get that money back and pay the employee because you didn't follow procedures that should have been followed in the first place to verify that this request was actually that person. So it's just something to be aware of. And then there's whaling. So whaling is pretending or going after somebody that works under C-level folks. A lot of times this is the old hey, go buy me some gift cards. A trick. They do that a lot because I'm at a meeting and I want to give them out as prizes or something, or give them to clients or whatever like that. Or wire transfers is another tactic. In this case, that's basically what it is. It's a wire transfer. Again, any type of financial request, whether it's buying gift cards, whether it's donating, whether it's wire transfers, anything like that, any type of requests or changes, even if you're in the middle of a conversation, with a contracted person, and you get this email saying, "Oh, I just wanted to give you an update that the account number changed. We just opened up a new account. We want to go to this account now." Don't blindly follow that in an email, even if it's coming from the right email, because their email account may be compromised and the bad actors are leveraging those previous conversations to try to redirect funds. That's happened a lot. In fact, there was one company that federal funds actually got redirected for a nonprofit. It was about $20 million that they lost because this exact same thing happened. The bad guys injected themselves in an email conversation. They at the very last minute, they changed the account information by simply asking for it in the email. And right as the money went out, it basically hit that account and they were gone. I don't know if they've ever caught them or not, but it was like $20 million of federal funds that was supposed to go to a nonprofit. So you definitely need to be aware and verify again Any type of changes, if it's an existing conversation or not, you should be physically calling that entity or party and verifying that via a known voice number that you should probably already have in whatever records or something. That will definitely, even if it's a C level, a lot of people, I can't question my C level. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Any C person, level person would welcome the fact that you're validating any type of just blind email requests, because more likely than not, it's probably not real. So, it's definitely something to get in the habit of checking. And then, the bad guys are also leveraging something called consent phishing. So consent phishing is a little different tactic. Instead of physically targeting via email, what they're doing is they're leveraging something called application permissions, basically. So this is something that there is valid purposes for this, but it's not very common. So unless you're enabling new software or something like that, you probably would never see anything like this. So that should, in and of itself, should raise a huge red flag. And it's basically it's going to request permissions. And in this case, you can see it says risky app. It's also unverified. And if you just blindly, don't read down through this or look at what it's done and you hit accept, what you're basically doing is allowing this malicious application here that is asking for permission. You're allowing this full-blown access to your entire Microsoft ecosystem. So they access your contacts, they can access your email, your SharePoint, your OneDrive, your Teams. They can access everything. And we'll talk about this in the near future here. MFA, if you have multi-factor set up, this also bypasses that too. So even that's not a saving grace. So you got to be very, very careful if you get one of these pop-ups. Like I said, they're not common, so that should in and of itself raise a red flag. So if you do get one of these, you're a client of ours, call us. We'll take a look at it. If you're not a client, bring it to your IT team, and just make sure you just don't blindly hit accept here, because this is very difficult to find after the fact. It's not an easy thing to find if you don't report it right away. It can do a lot of damage as well. So we also have something called quishing. So quishing, this became pretty prevalent during the COVID times. It's still valid, and basically they're sending these QR codes. So these QR codes are this graphic looking thing here, the square box, and sometimes it's in menus, at restaurants. But these while they're handy, the problem is that they don't really. If you scan this with your phone, the idea is you scan it with your phone, it's going to send you to a website that you don't really know what that website is until after you get there. So if you just blindly get one of these and it looks kind of strange, I would recommend not scanning it, because you don't know where you're going until you get there. And then once you get there, it may be too late. So it's just something to be aware of. And they can be used for malicious intent. So just something to be aware of. So let's talk a little bit about AI. So AI is it's an interesting time when it comes to AI, artificial intelligence. I'm talking about, Copilot or Chat GPT, Bard. There's a couple other flavors out there too, but those are the more prevalent ones. First, let's talk about the good. So the good is that, I know there's a lot of buzz about AI. The good is that in most cases, AI is going to increase productivity or allow some sort of machine-driven automation. Is it going to replace humans? No, I don't believe that. I think it may replace certain roles that a human plays, but those roles are just going to benefit efficiencies. It's not because they're usually mundane tasks that are repetitive, that aren't fun for an actual human being to be doing anyways. So it's something that where that is how you leverage AI in good purposes to allow that automation that it takes away from a human having to do it, and then the human can do something else that the AI can't do. So it definitely is helpful in that case. The bad, unfortunately, it potentially allows unskilled bad actors to perform tasks that they don't have knowledge to perform. So before the prevalence of AI, if a bad actor wanted to be able to craft, an email with perfect English and things like that, they would have to learn English, and or pay somebody that has good English skills to craft it. And if if they're not programmers, you can also leverage AI to program things. Now there are some checks and balances in place to try to prevent a lot of that bad programming thing, but there's ways of getting around that. And it's not that difficult to do, but it does allow bad actors that are unskilled to be able to perform things that they normally wouldn't be able to do, and it's very convincing. So it's just something to be aware of. The ugly part of this is that if you are currently leveraging AI, if you're not careful, you could actually accidentally leak sensitive information. And what I mean by that is, let's say you are leveraging AI, and one of those machine-driven automations that you like to leverage is I've got a document. I'm going to feed it into AI and have it proofread it, fix the English, fix the format, all that stuff. Or maybe you actually even get it to start the draft. I want to draft a welcoming letter to a new company or something. So you ask AI to do it. It'll go through and do that, whatever. You have to be careful that either you're feeding it a document or you're asking it for certain information, that information that you're either feeding it or asking it isn't confidential. Because if it is, let's say you feed it a document, a company name in it, it might have a company address, it might have other private details that you may not want to be out there for public viewing. If by putting it into artificial intelligence and using that to maybe proofread it or enhance it, whatever, it could actually share that back out. So what you're putting into AI could potentially be shared back out if you're not careful. Now, there are protected instances that are supposed to stop that from happening. I'm not 100% convinced that that is true. I'll be quite frank. So anytime I leverage AI, and I do leverage AI, I pull out, any potential, I redact the confidential information. So if I'm doing a document, I'll pull out the pieces that I don't want to potentially be shared. I'll add them back in after AI spits out what I want it to spit out, whether it's a new document or, whatever, changing the sentiment of the document or additions. I'll put that information back in. So I'm not giving that to AI. I'm physically putting that back in there. So that's just something you need to be aware of, that there is potential for that. I'm not saying it's being done maliciously, but there is potential, and it has happened in proprietary situations that proprietary information has been fed into publicly available AI engines, and it has been regurgitated back out, which provided leaks to information that shouldn't have been public. So just to follow up on some anti-phishing tips, how to avoid it. So again, that never the click link thing. Avoid embedded links like the plague if you can, because by avoiding those, you will avoid falling pitfalls to fake websites and things of that nature. Now, the only case, and I did mention this earlier, is if it's something you just generated. So sometimes, let's say you do sign up for a new website. A lot of times they'll say, or a mailing list or something. They'll say, hey, we're going to send you a confirmation email and verify this is a real email address. If you just did that and you were expecting that email, 100% you can click on that link because it's something that you just generated. But if you're going about your day and all of a sudden you get one of those out of the blue and you didn't just generate it, that's what I'm talking about. Don't click that link. You should go, if you think it is valid, like a forgot password or something like that, you should go to the website that is claiming to send that email by you, again, typing it in your browser and then logging in with whatever credentials you already have. And if it is valid, it should pop up. Again, any financial requests, you need to verify verbally or in person at known good contact numbers that these requests are valid. That way you don't fall victim and send money to a bad actor. If you're not leveraging external banners, you should be. That's basically this yellow bar here that is highlighting that this message is coming from the outside. That is a very, very quick visual way to see if somebody is faking to being your CEO or you're an employee and they're emailing in from the outside. If that email from the supposed supposedly CEO or internal person has this banner on it, that yellow banner, then that's a good visual sign that it's probably not the person that you think it is, because that email wouldn't have that if it actually was that person sending from your internal email system. So just be aware of that. And again, report something if it seems off. That's again the saving grace a lot of times. So real quick, USB mobile and IoT devices. USB obviously are the little flash drives that sometimes people use. If you find one of those laying around, you don't know who it belongs to, please don't plug that into your machine blindly. If you're a customer of ours, hold on to it until we do one of our on-site visits, one of our scheduled on-site visits. We'll take a look at it, make sure it's clean, and then we'll give it back to you because it could actually auto-run something the minute you plug it in. You may not even realize it. If you do leverage these, and some clients still do, a lot of architects may use these because the drawing files are pretty large in size, and it's hard sometimes to move those across the internet. Just make sure you're doing virus checks and make sure your software is being updated, just so you don't have to worry about anything being potentially hitchhiking on that actual USB flash drive, and you're bringing it into your work environment. Other thing is this is a tactic that was used and still is being used. Never blindly accept electronic devices that just show up in the mail. A lot of times, if I want to breach a network, and this was done heavily with military people, so they leveraged these to try to break into military facilities. They would just blindly figure out who is on the base and send these to soldiers. They would send them smartwatches, they would send them iPads, they would send them, all kinds of electronic devices. And of course, what's the first thing they're going to do is connect it to the wireless network. Well, now they have internal access, at least some sort of internal access to a network that's on a military base. You can do the same thing with a company. Look, the bad actors will easily spend a couple $100s on an iPad, send it to a company that they're trying to breach, because the return on investment that they spent on that iPad, if they were to breach that network, is going to be 100-fold. We're talking millions and millions of dollars that they could potentially leverage from an attack on a network. It's well worth the $300, $400, $500, $600 iPad that they're going to send them. That is going to be the door to let them in. If you didn't order it, please don't connect to it. Send it back. So that's just something to be aware of. If you do leverage any type of IoT devices, make sure you're using separate networks for those. So a lot of businesses leverage smart TVs and things of that nature. Those should be on a completely separate network. And the reason why we recommend that is because 9 times out of 10, once those devices are installed, oh, it's great. I can watch my Netflix from my television, or I can stream and cast my laptop screen to that. 9 times out of 10, those devices are not being updated. They have no type of antivirus, anti-malware software on them, and they are huge targets because they are basically computers. Unprotected computers at that. And if you have them on your corporate network, if a bad actor finds those, that's the first thing they're going to go after, because again, they're not being protected, so nobody would even think to look there for a bad actor potentially sitting in that, using that to breach a network. So you definitely want to keep those separated. The other thing too is everybody has a smartphone. The problem with smartphones is that a lot of them are battery hogs, and you constantly need to charge them. Make sure that if you are charging your phone, and a lot of times it's just a USB cable, make sure you're using the actual part that plugs into the electricity, and not just plug that directly into your laptop or your desktop to charge. It will charge them, but it also turns your phone a lot of times into a USB device. So if there's something on your phone that somehow your phone got compromised, you plug it into your Windows network at work, it could infect that network without you even realizing it. Again, because you probably don't have a lot of protections on your phone. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But if you plug it into the electricity, the part that actually goes into the wall, or the wall brick, plug that into the wall, then it will be one of those situations where you're not going to infect the electricity or your machine because you're plugged into the wall. That's the other thing too, is out and about, be aware of public charging stations. Again, there could be malicious versions of these. A lot of times these public stations are at bookstores. They might be at malls, airports, lobbies of hotels, things of that nature, where they basically set up a charging station where you can plug your phone directly into that. Again, this is called juice jacking, and basically it will charge your phone, but if your phone is set up that it also will turn it into that USB device. Just you simply plug it into that charging station. If it's a malicious version, could be actually downloading all your contacts, all your emails, all your files, all your folders, your pictures, everything. It could actually be stealing information off your phone. So again, if you're out and about and you need a charge, wait till you get to your car. Maybe do it, plug it into your car, or wait till you get back to your hotel room or whatever if you're traveling. And a lot of times you're flying, you can take wall bricks. This is the wall brick that I'm talking about. These little things here. It's not a very good picture, but you can see that it's the part that plugs into the wall. You can carry these on the plane now, so you can just charge it with you. A lot of times, some of the planes have electricity jacks in them, so just something to be aware of. The other thing is phishing. So this is also another tactic where they're texting people. And again, if you're getting a text from somebody on your cell phone, hey, this is Bob, or this is your boss. I need you to go do this, or I need you to go do that. Or sometimes it's blind text. Hey, had a great time last night. Can't wait to see you again. If you get those kind of things, what I would say is just ignore them. Don't interact with them. Don't even respond back saying, hey, I think you got the wrong number. Because if you do that, more likely than not, you're probably going to be getting all kinds of adult-oriented pictures sent to you that obviously are not fun to receive. So it's something that it's just basically they try to lead you on and then have a conversation with you. That's the whole point of the text in the first place. Unknown numbers, unknown callers, things like that, or someone claiming to be that a number you don't recognize. Again, make sure you're verifying it at a known number or physically with the person before you interact with that text. I'm sorry, smishing was the texting. Vishing is the voice version of it. So I actually got these backwards. I'm sorry, I switched these slides around. So vishing is the voice version. Someone calling up pretending to be somebody they're not. So vishing is me calling up a company pretending to be IT. This happened at the casinos out in Vegas. MGM and Caesars both got hit by this. Basically, a bad actor called an internal employee saying that it was IT and they needed to see their machines. And they basically let them in. That's what the phishing is. So you should always verify that. And if you're a customer of ours, what we tell you, we can reach out sometimes directly because we do have monitoring on your machines and might see something that you may not be seeing. What I always tell our clients is if you get a call from us, from someone claiming to be PCA, no matter whether you're busy or not, unless you were expecting that call, what you want to do is just tell them, you know what? I'm in the middle of something. Can I call you back in 5 minutes? And then call us back at our office number and then ask for that individual that they, whoever it was that called. If it's valid, you'll get transferred to that person and they'll help you out. So that's phishing. Smishing is the texting part of it. I apologize. I switched these slides around and forgot the order of them. I'm in autopilot mode here. So shadow IT. Shadow IT is something that this is basically you have security measures in place. It could be software, it could be policies, it could be something, and that is basically shadow IT is using devices or applications or services without having authorization from IT or management. Whether it's it doesn't always have to be malicious, and more likely than not, it isn't malicious. So let's look at the software side. So this is basically adding any type of unapproved software to your physical work machine where, oh, hey, I need to be able to view something that I can't. Instead of asking IT, you just go do a Google search, find something that will open a file or let you view it, and you install that software on your machine. That's a form of shadow IT. Could be cloud apps, oh, hey, I need to transfer this file, but I can't email it because it's too big. And I'm just going to send it to my Google Drive or my iCloud or whatever, Dropbox. Well, who's managing that? And is it corporate owned or is it your personal one? That's a form of shadow IT, because now if you're sending proprietary information or business information that has private business information, client information, that's sitting in your personal, account that technically it shouldn't be. If you find yourself in situations where you need software, you need to transfer files, and you can't do that, you should be reaching out to IT and figuring out, having them at least give you input into how to do that. Remote access, that's another thing. Hey, I need to, I want to work after hours and I need access into my machine. That's, maybe it's TeamViewer or something like that. Again, these tools are leveraged by bad actors. So it's very difficult to be able to tell, is it a bad actor? Is it someone that just installed this on their machine or whatever? And then the final thing is maybe there is deliberate, circumvention of security protections. And it doesn't have to be malicious. It just could be, I'm trying to get my job done and this stupid software won't let me do it. And these protections, oh, it's such a pain and blah, blah, blah. I get it. Security isn't always convenient, and that's the unfortunate thing, but you should be bringing that to someone's attention. That goes back to the initial opening fact that you should be part of the security protections, because you're the one that is, the people on the ground are the ones that deal with this mostly. So you provide that input. Hey, I got to keep jumping through hoops to try to visit this website that we need to go to because I need to enter, this information in there, but I have to go through this, and this because of our security protections. Talk to your boss, talk to the people, and provide that input, because maybe something needs changed. Maybe it's too strict. Maybe it does need to be loosened up, or something needs to be set in there that'll allow you to get around that without jumping through hoops. The idea is to try to make this as secure as possible without making it as inconvenient as possible. So that input does that. Real quick here, because we're running up on the hour. Passwords, we recommend complex passwords, which are at least 14 characters. That's where we're at right now. They should include at least one special character. They should have an uppercase letter. They should also have a number. I do recommend at this point leveraging some sort of password manager or password vault that basically keeps track of all those passwords. There's many of them out there. Dashlane, 1Pass, Bitwarden, things like that are ones I would recommend. There's other ones out there. The only one I'll say stay away from now would be LastPass. They've had a lot of compromises, unfortunately, that I just can't, in good ethics, recommend them at this point. They'll get it figured out, and that will change. But right now, I would say, anyone but that one. The other thing too is don't save passwords in your browsers. A lot of times when you log into a site, it'll say, hey, do you want to save this password in Chrome? Or hey, do you want to save this password in Edge? Don't do that. The first thing the bad guys are going to go after is your local version of that if they get access to your machine and you're effectively giving them passwords to these accounts. They'll just add them to their browser and then they'll log in pretending to be you at that point with that information. So multi-factor, we kind of alluded to this. Multi-factor is a second form of factor. The first form is something which is your username and password. The second form is something you have, which is usually a cell phone. It's a code that is either generated on your cell phone, or maybe it's a push that says, hey, is this you logging in? Yes, no. And so I do recommend using multi-factor. The thing to remember is that multi-factor is not the holy grail of security. It will stop 99% of automated brute force attacks. It'll stop 96% of the phishing attacks. But if you're physically being targeted, this number, it drops drastically. It's even below 76% now. So it's not the saving grace, but I will tell you, if you're not leveraging it, you should be, because it does definitely add additional protection layers. How do the bad guys potentially get around this? Well, this only works. This is something called MFA fatigue. And this is where it's pushing to your phone. So if you're logging in, you'll put your username and password in there and it'll say, hey, is this you logging in? You hit yes on your phone and it'll let you log in. This attack method or this attempt is only valid if you're actual username and password has already been compromised. So what they do is they basically bomb your phone, in the fact that you're getting all these requests. Hey, are you logging in? You hit no. Hey, are you logging in? No. Hey, are you logging in? No. I mean, and it's just continuous, 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 continuous. And finally, you're going to get frustrated and say, oh my God, please make it stop. Yes. You just let them in. The only thing that was stopping that person was the fact that you were hitting no on your phone. What I would say is if you are starting to get multiple messages on your phone asking for MFA tokens, or if you're logging in and you're not, first and foremost thing you need to do is determine what account is asking for that, and go change your password immediately, because your password has been compromised. That is the only way this works. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The other way of doing it is something called an adversary in the middle. This is where they potentially can send you to a malicious website that will actually steal your multi-factor token. And this is something that, when you log into a website, and let's say you're logging into your bank site, and you use your username, and you're also leveraging multi-factor. What is potentially could happen is they could actually potentially steal that token. What happens is when you authenticate with MFA, it actually stores a token on your workstation that keeps you from having to re-authenticate every single time. Now, in banking sites, those tokens only last for a very short period of time. So that's not a good example. But let's say you're logging into, let's say you use it for Google. You've logged in the first time, you use your multi-factor. Well, once you're logged into Google, unless you physically log out, that token is good for a very long period of time. So if a bad actor would somehow be able to get that authenticated token that you've already used your multi-factor for, they could just put that into their browser and then pretend to be you using that same token. So in that aspect, when you're done with the site, the easiest way to avoid that is to log out. If you log out, that'll actually expire that token, and then it won't be able to be grabbed there. But that's just something that could potentially happen. So multi-factor, again, isn't the saving grace, but if you're not using it, highly recommend doing it, because it's better than nothing. So real quick here, wrapping up, again, security reminders, don't click on links within emails. Always want to verify the person via voice at a known number is who they claim to be. Make sure you're utilizing strong passwords and MFA. Ransomware, if you do find yourself in a situation of ransomware, the initial indication would be to unplug the machine, power it down. You can unplug the network of it, but don't power down the machine, because if you do, it could potentially affect evidence collection, because a lot of times the ransomware isn't physically installed on the machine. It's running in memory, and by you powering it down, it wipes it, and you'll never find out what it actually was. Store passwords securely. Again, I recommend some sort of password vault. Think before you act. Again, go with your gut. If it looks suspicious, it's suspicious. It's that simple. Don't even second guess yourself. And then also make sure your data is regularly backed up in the event there is some type of ransomware event that you could potentially recover from. So that's about it. I thank you for your time. A little bit over, but we did start late too, so it looked like the weather hold out. I hope everyone's safe out there. Again, we do these monthly, and the content does change, but I thank you for your time today, and hopefully this was enlightening. I don't think I see, let me see here. I don't see any questions here. So we'll let you go. And again, I thank you for your time, and have a great day.